Cool.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Emily, zooming in from Hood River, Oregon. Tyke Hosen is my teacher, and I'm in the ministerial program with the hope and aspiration of becoming a lay Buddhist minister, which really means I'll be at some point blessed with the ability to teach the Dharma. But what's lovely is that Tyke Hosen has given me this opportunity to share with you my understanding of the Dharma as I'm on that path. And for Sharona, this talk is going to be about love because it's Valentine's Day. But if you know me, in my previous sort of career path, I was a high school science teacher. And now I'm teaching mindfulness in the community and producing audio stories for hiking trails. So my favorite topics are nature, and my deep love is really pulling out the collective wisdom of the group and helping each one of us connect with our own wisdom. So often my Dharma talks are experiential, and this one will be no different. Just warning you, if you have a piece of paper nearby and a pen, that will be helpful for part of what we're going to do this morning. So I felt really lucky when it was Saturday, February 14th, that I got assigned to the Dharma talk because it's like, oh, great, I don't have to think too much about the topic in terms of which way to go. There's a lot of places one can go in the Dharma. And this day focused it in for me about love. And I'm realizing that I'm very ecumenical in how I approach my spirituality. And I think definitely in past lives, I was probably a nun in a church somewhere, a convent somewhere. I really draw from a lot of different religions and feel like there's great truth that's shared through our greatest teachers, both Jesus and Buddha and others. And so I was thinking about the topic of love. And since I grew up in the church, I grew up in a Presbyterian church in Atlanta, that famous quotation by Corinthians was the first thing that came to mind. So I'm just gonna, by Corinthians, that's hilarious, in Corinthians. So I'm gonna share that, and you probably have heard this quotation. Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. And I mean, even just reading those words is very soothing to me and just a friendly reminder of what sort of the heart of love is. And the Buddha said something very similar. So I think folks in the Sangha are really familiar with Old Path, White Clouds by Thich Nhat Hanh. This is sort of my go-to reference for sort of Buddhist philosophy and what was going on during the time of the Buddha's life. And basically after Enlightenment, and when the Buddha was really developing, people started following him, and he was traveling through different parts of India. Often kings and leaders of different regions would approach him and ask him for advice because they had heard that he was so wise. And usually almost all of these stories, after they talk to him, they wind up wanting to become a follower and a disciple, which is really sweet. And often they come to him very skeptical. Often they say, well, you're too young to be truly enlightened. How could you have, surpassed these other masters who haven't achieved perfect enlightenment? And so he always kinds of wins them over, which is a sweet part of the journey, and really speaks to his power as a person. But he talks to one king who is asking him about love. And the king comes to him and says, hey, I hear that you're saying we shouldn't love, that love is about attachment, and so we shouldn't have love in our lives. And the Buddha's like, well, that's not quite right. Let me explain. And he says, Your Majesty, your question is a very good one, and many people can benefit from it. There are many kinds of love. We should examine closely the nature of each kind of love. Life has a great need of the presence of love, but not the sort of love that is based on lust, passion, attachment, discrimination, and prejudice. Majesty, there is another kind of love sorely needed, which consists of loving kindness and compassion, or maitri and karuna. Usually when people speak of love, they are referring only to the love that exists between parents and children, husbands and wives, family members, or the members of one's caste or country. Because the nature of such love depends on the concepts of me and mine, it remains entangled in attachment and discrimination. People only want to love their parents, spouse, children, grandchildren, their own relatives and countrymen. Because they are caught in attachment, they worry about accidents that could befall their loved ones, even before such things actually take place. When such accidents do occur, they suffer terribly. Love that is based on discrimination breeds prejudice. People become indifferent or even hostile to those outside their own circle of love. Attachment and discrimination are sources of suffering for ourselves and others. Majesty, the love for which all beings truly hunger, is loving kindness and compassion. Maitri is the love that has the capacity to bring happiness to another, and karuna is the love which has the capacity to remove another's suffering. So, first of all, I think that's beautiful, and I think it mirrors what the Corinthians passage says. And I think we probably all have an example of this kind of attachment-based, lusty, kind of possessive love. And I think we probably all have examples in our life of a more pure, open-hearted, sort of non-selfish way of loving. The Buddha goes on to say that really true love is based in understanding. And if we want to love someone without possession, we must really try to understand what their sufferings are and what their aspirations are. We want to know what their sufferings are so that we can help relieve them. That would be the compassion part of what he's talking about. And we want to know what their aspirations are so that we can help them achieve them and fulfill them. And that's a truer, deeper, sort of pure love from what I'm gathering. And I have a funny example of this that came to mind from my childhood, and I'm sure you've all had experiences like this, but I'll just share this one. So in middle school, it was Christmas time, and I told you I grew up in Georgia at a Christian prep school, and so it was very common for people to give Christmas gifts. Christmas was a big deal. And one girl was giving out, I saw what she was giving to everyone. She was giving everyone this beautiful silver heart necklace, like really heavy, this like beautiful pendant. And I wanted one. And so I went home and I was like, oh, I have to give a gift to this girl so that I can get this pendant. And so I got a gift for her and I gave it to her. And in reciprocity, she did not give me the heart pendant that she had given these other girls. She gave me this like, it's so cute. It's on my Christmas tree every year. She gave me a little wooden mouse ornament. But at the time, and I love it. But at the time I was really disappointed, right? But like classic example of like me, like a selfish love, right? Like I wanted something from her. So I was like, oh, if I give her a gift, she's going to give me this thing that I want. And it was great. It was like instant karma. I was like, no, you don't get the pretty heart. You get this stupid ornament. So the other kind of way my brain goes when I think about sort of this pure, selfless, sort of devotional love versus this lusty, possessive, like I want to get something from this love, is the story of Old Calf Buffalo Woman. And I don't have a history in Lakota tradition. I just know a little bit of what I've read about that story. And what's funny is that it came up in my oracle cards this morning. So this is the card that I pulled this morning for today, which felt perfect because I knew what I was going to talk about. And now this story is now coming into this Dharma talk. But the history, or the legend goes that two men were walking across the plains and they see this beautiful woman, and she's just radiating. She's just radiating love, light, all of the beautiful things that one can radiate. And one of the brothers looks at her and is lustful and is wanting to approach her for that kind of like, I want to get with this thing, you know? And he literally gets turned to bones in her presence. She has the power to do that. And the other brother approaches her humbly and in gratitude and with, you know, humility of like, oh, what is this beautiful being, and why is she here in our country? You know, why is she here? Turns out that he's able to bring her back to the community, and she shares with the Lakota community some really important rites of passage and wisdom for the community that's now been carried forward. So again, another tradition with a similar kind of like, here's how love can be, and here's another way that love often manifests in the human condition of attachment. So I guess I offer all of that to remind us, and as much a reminder for myself, to really look at the intention behind my actions. What is the quality or the resonance of my heart as I take action? Is it really to seek understanding and to understand one's suffering and one's aspirations? Or is it for my own gain or my own desire for them to give me something that I'm lacking or missing? And I think we can all reflect on that, because we've had moments where we've acted with pure heart and pure intention, and moments when we're caught in ignorance and desire and attachment and all the things that are just really part of being human on planet Earth. So that is the first part of my Dharma talk. And because of my personality and wanting to do a lot, I'm going to go into the second part, and I think we still have time. So my first instinct when I realized it was February 14th and we were going to talk about love, I said to myself, ooh, we get to write love poetry to the Dharma. And I know that sounds kind of funny, but I want to try it. So one of the activities I did with my students one fall was to write love poems to the earth. And I think this just is in line with sort of our inspiration and how we can support and understand the Dharma. So I'm going to start with, and if you hear lots of noises, I've got 3 boys over here. My 2 boys and their kid, their kid, their friend. They're spending the night. Okay, so I want to start with a poem, and then we're going to do a little writing exercise, and then we'll go into our meditation. So the poem you may have heard. This is just to get our poetry brain on. This is by Joyce Kilmer, and it's about trees. It's called Trees. I think I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast, a tree that looks at God all day and lifts her leafy arms to pray, a tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow has lain, who intimately lives with rain. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree. And, poems don't have to rhyme, and we're not going to write a whole poem today, but what we're going to do is just 2 simple steps, and I'll explain each step, and then I'll give you a minute for each step. So the first step is just brainstorming ways in which Buddhism has touched you. So maybe if you're new to Buddhism, it could just be today's conversation about Buddhism or what you think you know about Buddhism. It's not that important to have had a long depth of experience with Buddhism. But the first step is going to just jot down on your notebook a few ways that Buddhism has touched you, like how it's impacted your life. Maybe it's about the Sangha coming here and having this community. And then the second step is I would just love for you to write a line of poetry in devotion and in reverence to celebrate each way that it's impacted you or supported you in some way. So I hopefully you can indulge me and hopefully we'll get a few lines of love poetry out to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, to Buddhism, to this community before we go into our meditation. So to step back, first step, I'm going to put a timer on for 1 minute, 2 minutes. Can you guys list out on a piece of paper how the Dharma or Buddhism has touched you, how it's impacted you, what you love about it? Just, yeah. Okay, so it's been 2 minutes. Can people just popcorn out a few things the way the Buddhism has touched them, just so that if someone's feeling stuck, they might get some ideas?
Shared connectivity, understanding.
Yay.
The power of compassion.
Power of compassion, cool.
I have the moment in Sangha.
Yeah. And we have harmony, peace, and compassion here from the temple.
Receptivity, stillness, sitting down and letting other things come in, support.
Beautiful. Okay, those are all great. So now second step, and this is where don't overthink it. Nothing has to rhyme. It doesn't have to be good poetry. We're writing bad poetry together. If you can, for whatever you wrote as a gift that Buddhism has given you, can you write a line of devotional poetry in celebration of that or explaining that in a poetic way? And I'll give us like 4 minutes or something like that. Perfect. So some lines of poetry are coming through. If you feel like either writing them in the chat or sharing them out loud, I thought we could kind of have a collective poem here together. I'm gonna let's do like one. Maybe if everyone can write it in the chat, then I can read it together. I don't know how we're gonna do it. I've never done this before. Like I said, this is experiential and experimental. Yeah, I had thought about asking everyone to do a haiku, but I thought that might take too long. So we may have to continue our poetry on my next Dharma talk in a couple months so that we have more time. But I love the idea of a haiku. Just didn't want people to get worried about syllables and everything. Okay, so I'm gonna read these out loud and then I'll close on my sort of Dharma talk and we'll go into the meditation. So, and if anyone wants to share anything out loud, I would love that. I'll just start by reading, and then if anyone wants to continue either in the chat or over audio, that's beautiful. So we have here, one step of compassion, one breath of peace leads my mind to the present moment and harmony with life. In the presence of this breath, I feel gratitude and compassion for this moment, alive. Disappointment, a heartbreaking and unfair struggle, how freeing it is to release expectations and openly accept what comes and what doesn't come. Sangha members' lives inspire, guide, and life up from apart to whole. Sangha's gifts are numerous, sustaining growth to greater awareness, truth, compassion, and gratitude for breath. Clouds on the mountain, touched by moving mystery light, calls leaf towards being. I am not separate, but connected. The joy of compassion, peace, breath, and love. Thank you. I will carry those with me today. Really appreciate all of that. Anyone want to share anything before we go into our meditation? It doesn't have to be sharing poetry. It could be anything about anything we talked about. Okay. Hearing nothing.
Hold on. I think Tracy wants to share something.
Yeah, I was just thinking of the quotes from Dozen, which was, if you want to travel the way of the Buddhas, Zen masters, and expect nothing, seek nothing, and grasp nothing.
Perfect. I love that. It was a great summary. Okay. Does someone have my bell's in my bag because it travels with me and my bag's not here. Does somebody have a bell if we do the
Go for it, take it off.